This is the tale of Holster McTroy, who's lived quite a life since he was a boy. For his parents had known since the time of his birth that it would be he controlling the earth. He would not be a diplomat, or leader, or king. He would not have control over people or thing. Instead, his power would come from a wheel that could make people love, make people hate, make people hope, and make people feel. It's all very simple, his father had said. Just check on the wheel in the night before bed. If it seems to have slowed, just give it a whirl. Keep an eye on Ellie, your sister, the girl. Holster was trusted with the task of control, but Ellie had nothing, no assignment, no goal. Her fate was her own. She'd squandered her years dabbling in drugs and choking back beers. She spent time in prisons from Russia to Rome, and only just recently returned to her home. For months, she spied as her brother would work. In the corners, in the dark, in the shadows she'd lurk. Why not I? She'd snarl and mutter. Holster's weak. Never mind, he's my brother. This job should be mine, not a feeble young man's. And like that, they were hatched. Diabolical plans. Holster liked breakfast a bit more than lunch, but way more than dinner and a tad more than brunch. He just recently started to cook for himself, putting spices alphabetically above the stove on the shelf. Arrowroot, cardamom, cayenne, cilantro, dillweed, garlic, oregano, nutmeg. Arrowroot, cardamom, cayenne, cilantro, dillweed, garlic, oregano, nutmeg. Arrowroot, cardamom, cayenne, cilantro, dillweed, garlic, nutmeg, oregano. The breakfast prior, Holster must have misplaced 2 of the spices when he departed in haste. For Ellie had called, making quite a fuss. Her car had a flat, she just missed the bus. Offering to help as any brother would, Holster departed as fast as he could. He took one bite of sausage and ran out the door. Ducking back for a moment, he took 2 bites more. And although his intent was to give Ellie a ride, no sister would be there, for Ellie had lied. She watched Holster leave in the attic through a crack, and then descended to the kitchen, all covered in black. In her hand was a vial with poison inside. But where should she stash it? Oh, where should it hide? Cupboard to cupboard, cabinet to drawer. Her eyes scanned the kitchen from ceiling to floor. Then a smirk hit her lips as she spotted the spices. This was the spot for her fiendish devices. Holster continued to cook up a meal, adding nutmeg for vigor and garlic for zeal. He sat at the table, morning paper in hand, and played an old record of his new favorite band, a 3-piece quartet from the old Eastern Bloc, Schnitzel von Klippstein's Mechanical Cock. Horror! Something is wrong with this meal, he thought. These eggs need ketchup. 2 bottles he'd bought. But returning to the table, he held up and stopped. It felt like his liver had seized up and popped. Then, in a convulsion, he fell to the floor, and in rapid flashes, recalled the day before. When he arrived at the spot where Ellie would be, no Ellie was there. No car could he see. Thinking nothing of it, he returned to his home and saw on his machine that Ellie had phoned. I got a ride from a friend, her message relayed. I'm sorry if you got there and I hadn't stayed. I'll make it up to you, I promise, she eagerly stated. Oh, the nicest guy in the world, and to think we're related. At the time, he had smiled. No trouble, no problem. But he realized at death's door that his sister had got him. She walked into the kitchen, stared down at her kill. Her brother looked pale, his body gone still. Father had given you all of the work. He thought I was useless, that miserable jerk. Well, listen to me close, 'cause here's the new deal. From this day forward, I run the wheel. As it had always, the wheel slowly turned. And though it was wrong, its control she had earned. She slowly walked towards it, smiling with glee. Oh, it was beautiful to look at, marvelous to see. Father and brother, she believed, they were fools. But what they knew, she didn't. And those were the rules. Rule 41C, subsection 11. This rule is an amendment to subchapter 7. If the wheel is left spinning all on its own, keep your hands free and leave it alone. Any interruption could cause it to pause, and we need to be certain not to break any laws. The wheel felt powerful under her hand. She was now in control, just as she planned. But the rules and the guidelines she just didn't know. And the wheel before her started to slow. Never before had she heard such a sound. It shook the whole house and rattled the ground. Wood and debris fell from the walls. She could hear things crashing above in the halls. But none of these things made her heart drop. That didn't happen till she saw the wheels stop. The one thing she'd known ever since the beginning was that no matter what, the wheel should keep on spinning. Terror, panic. She was long out of luck, and much as she tried, the wheel became stuck. Yanking and pulling with all of her might still accomplished nothing. The wheel was too tight. Screams of horror and fear made her stop trying. She cocked an ear to the world where she heard people crying. Gunshots and sirens rang out through the sky. Worldwide chaos had reached a new high. All of this happened due to Ellie's decision to murder her brother and take his position. And now that she sat there, having caused all this trouble, there was little to do as the earth turned to rubble. Giving up completely, she sobbed on the floor. Until Hope stepped in through the open door. His face was pale, his eyes sunken red. But Holster looked good for someone thought dead. He stepped past his sister and moved towards the wheel. Ellie just watched, his appearance surreal. He motioned to her to come to his side. Ever so slowly, she rose and obliged. You don't know the rules, so in future, a correction. Once the wheel stops, it spins the other direction. Holster, I'm sorry, she cried with sincerity. An apology from Ellie? This was a rarity. I promise you this, I'll never interfere. This is your job, your life, your career. Just promise me, Ellie, from here on is the deal. You don't touch my spices, and you don't touch the wheel. I'm going to take a bath, so see yourself out. Come back for breakfast, but bring garlic. I'm out. And with that, Ellie smiled as she looked round the room. The wheel turned quietly, averting more doom. But there was one other thing that she wondered forever. What exactly was the purpose of the 4-foot-long lever?